Alrighty, hello and welcome again to the Setup Workshop. I'm your host, that guy Ed Boy. Last time, the last thing we covered, or we handful of things that we covered, but we covered wheel rates, more or less what they do. Covered brake bias a couple times ago. Covered the anti-roll bar, and we covered preload differential. All great ways to control various aspects of the car. What we're going to be going over today is Bumpstop Rate, Bumpstop Range, and we're going to get more into. We'll talk about toe a little bit, and we're going to very briefly cover dampers, and then we're going to be done. Anything that I haven't covered, we haven't talked about, feel free to ask questions about. However, there are things that are not going to affect your setup skills much until you get to a much more advanced level. Not at that advanced level, pretty well relevant to what you're going to be. Before I get started, any questions on last week's stuff? Cool. Alrighty, jumping right into it. Talk about wheel rates. The next thing we're going to talk about in terms of suspension are the bump stop rate and range. They go hand in hand, more or less. Range has more effect on the car, but rate works hand in hand with bump stop range. So, as you can see here on your suspension, we'll work at the right front suspension. We have the coilover itself. We have this little red bump stop, is what that is. And what the red bump stop does is it restricts the overall movement of your suspension. And that's represented by this red line here. Yellow is overall suspension travel, and the green is just the bottom of your suspension. So the higher this red line is, the bigger the gap, the red line, the more overall travel your suspension will have, or considered be bottomed out, where it hits the bump stop and it cannot move any further in that direction when it's getting compressed. The lower that red line is, and the closer it is to yellow and green, yellow being your spring more or less, green just being the bottom of the suspension, does not move, by the way. The closer it is, the less travel you have before you bottom out on your suspension. Now, why is that important? What does that do? Main thing that bump stop range controls is overall weight transfer on a particular side of the car. So let's say we have a really large bump stop range. So there's a lot more travel relative to the suspension. There's a lot more travel that the suspension can go before it will bottom out, producing more or less maximum force on the suspension because it is pushing down on a hard surface. No more wiggle room. If we have a high bump stop range, that allows the car to compress that suspension way more. It allows for more compression, more weight transfer on that particular suspension, and usually you try to link them up left and right. And that will lead to more grip, more or less, on that front suspension.
So
Question?
you're saying the higher the bump stop rate is, the more grip?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It's dependent on what you're doing to the car. If you are
Okay.
braking, you will have more grip on the front. If you are turning hard, you have a
Hmm.
bigger bump stop range. Your car will lean more to that side,
Okay.
which could produce more grip. However, if you are hard on the accelerator, the front will lift a lot because there's a lot more wiggle room there, and you might have less grip coming out of the corners. You'll have to fix that or adjust that somewhere else. So it's not just more grip all the time. It's more grip sometimes. It's more grip during compression. Think of it that way.
Okay.
And with that said, it can lead to a much less stable car because it's moving around a lot more. Even if you have the anti-roll bar set high and you have the wheel rate set high, this still lets your suspension move farther before it's producing maximum, call it downforce. Again, it's resting on a hard surface It's just pushing all on that. There's no compression from the spring. There's no nothing. It is just pushing down on basically a wooden stopper that is pushing all the weight directly into the wheel. There's nothing buffering it at all.
Okay.
So if you have a low bump stop range, if you, let's say again, front of the car, low bump stop range means that when you hit the brakes, your tires will bottom out, suspension will bottom out more or less way faster. Now, what that can do is that will restrict weight transfer on the car. So it will likely have a little bit less grip overall. However, it'll be much more stable and it will not be as much of a grip transference from the rear of the car to the front of the car. So if you're noticing under heavy braking that your nose is drooping a lot and you're getting way too much grip in the braking zone, that might be because you're having too much weight transfer to the front. The front wheels are getting a bunch of grip, the back wheels are losing a lot because so much of the weight is shifted forward. The way to stop that is to reduce the amount of distance the suspension can travel before it gets to its maximum grip set. So it will bottom out and it will not be able to let any more weight shift to the front. Leads to a much more stable car and it will slow down the transfer of weight. So on the front, low bump stop range may or may not be beneficial
Hmm.
because you want that extra grip in the front. However, you don't want to get all this grip sacrificing stability because now the front can move more than you want it to. So it's a bit of a just like everything else, it's a give and take. You got to find the happy medium for some cars love weight transfer. Like most mid-engine cars, for example, there's not a lot of weight
Or the
on the front of the
Porsche.
car, or the Porsche or rear engine, where a lot of the weight is in the back of the car. You want that weight transfer to the front of the car because it doesn't have any weight up there. It's got less grip. You're trying to let the car be looser in the front so that the weight can move. You get more grip. And as you let off the brakes, as you speed through a corner, the car will level out again. Go from there. So, from the perspective of front bump stop range, usually it's a little bit higher, but a little lower. Not to say it's going to be high, it might be 10. I don't know. But usually you don't want that all the way up. Because again, it just too much weight transfer is not good. You have to find how much weight you want to put on the front. Now, before I get into the next aspect of bump stop range, any questions so far? How it works or what it does? Okay. Now, the next thing you got to keep in mind with bump stop range, weight transfer is great. Figuring out how to get more grip to your tires. Again, this is one of the.
Hello.
How's it going? I am not even going to try to mispronounce your name. What is it? Just
My name
Simon?
is Simon. Yeah, it's called Simon Kret.
Simon
I'm from
Gret.
Poland.
Good to
Yeah,
meet you.
perfect.
Welcome to the setup workshop. We are right. How comfortable are you with setups in general on ACC?
Usually I only change the radio. I change the anti-roll bar from the rear and the wing, something like this, and the pressure. Only this.
Okay, cool.
Because not exactly I know what is going on. Sometimes I change the wheel rate on the front, I think, in the car.
Okay.
If it's the lower value, it's better sometimes. I don't know.
Okay, cool.
Or
We've already talked about that stuff, so we're getting into some more detailed adjustments that we can make with the car. But everything is recorded. I'm still in the process of figuring out how to get it on YouTube, but it covers
oh
everything from start to finish. So if you want to continue with us today and then just watch those other ones later, it'll give you a
yeah, I
better
just
picture.
wanna watch and continue what you say, so I don't wanna interrupt you. So
Yeah, sounds good. What's up, Ziad? Muted some. All right. So bump stop range. Like I was saying, it's great for controlling weight transfer and stability of the car. And the higher the range is, the more the suspension can compress, the more weight can transfer to that suspension. The lower it is, exact opposite. The other thing you got to think about, especially a car like a McLaren that sits very, very low, if you have a very low bump stop range, again, that means your suspension cannot compress very far. So if you hit a curb, you will send that suspension through the ceiling if it
Mhm.
is really, really stiff. Imagine this is just very stiff. We'll say you have 5 millimeters. That's not accurate, but just for the sake of example, this bump stop range is indicative of 5 millimeters of suspension compression before it bottoms out and you are just bouncing off of the frame. This represents 40. Again, that's not what it actually means. I have no idea what these measurements are, but that's just good for the sake of example. The If you are a type of driver, and again, these setups should be set to your driving skill, not some fast boy who doesn't know what us plebeian slow drivers do on a daily day. So if you eat curbs a lot, if your driving style is that you like to take curbs hard, you will not want a low bump stop range because you will bounce off of those curbs no matter what you do to the rest of the car. You can have the car lifted up super high in the aero page where it's high. You can have the tires low. You can have the sway bar low. You can have wheel rates low. It doesn't matter. If you have a low bump stop rate, range, excuse me, you will launch yourself off of curbs. So if you like to eat curbs, have that at a higher value and then fix the rest of the car around it to make it so that it works the way you want it to. Right? So the primary thought with bump stop range is weight transference and stability. I'm not getting enough grip in the front. I want more weight on the front that will give me more grip. However, I do not want to sacrifice too much stability. I don't want too much grip on the front tires. So, all balancing act. Once you got that sorted out, finding that, okay, a low bump stop range gives me great stability into the corners and I have plenty of grip. However, I'm bouncing off of curbs. You either need to stop hitting curbs or you need to raise the bump stop range. Okay? Any questions on bump stop range? What it does to your car and when you should use
Well, it explains why at Zolder my car was when I hit that one curve, the car takes off. It had the setup I was using had very little bump stop range. So if I would have increased that, the
it. You'd be
car
able
would
to
be
take that
fine.
curb a lot better. Yep.
Okay. Oh shoot! I wish we had this before Zolder.
Yeah, the curbs at chicane are tough. The bump stop range is a huge thing you want to do to get over those curbs without
Okay.
dying. So, but now you know. Hey, for curbs in the future, now you know. You got it. All right. So, bump stop rate. Now that we figured out range, bump stop rate. All it does. So this bump stop range. Imagine it as just a puck in your suspension. Again, this little red deal here. That's your bump stop. All this does is it changes the stiffness of this puck. Right? So if you want to have a really stiff puck, have it at a high Newton amount, 2,500 newtons. That is like brick stiff. Once it hits the bump stop, there is no give. You are bouncing off of a basically metal, and it is going to be rough, but it's going to be very stiff, and it could lead to some added stability. I've never seen a single use case for a high bump stop rate. Medium, I'll give it to you. But 2,500, if I ever catch one of you using 2,500, you screwed something up, and I'm going to know it. So, usually higher bump stop ranges, excuse me, higher bump stop rates will come with a higher bump stop range. And again, it's all dependent on the car and the tracks, so you got to find your happy medium. Once you figure out how much you want your suspension to travel, how much you want it to be able to compress, you have to decide, okay, I don't want any more weight transference, but it's a little stiff. The car is a bit bouncy when it's at full compression, when I'm bottomed out. So I'm going to make it a little softer so that it's still on the bump stop, but it's not stopping it as hard. There's a little bit of squish in the bump stop. You want a little bit of squish in the bump stop itself, which adds just a touch more travel to your compression. Basically, you're bottomed out, but instead of riding on concrete, you're riding on some sort of weird non-Newtonian fluid thing where it'll still let it move a little bit. You will still launch off of curbs. You will still lose stability over rumble strips or something like that because you are still bouncing off of a very, very hard. This is not soft. 300 newtons is not a soft material. It's just softer. So if you are not ever bottoming out, the bump stop range means nothing. I'll tell you what, you will always bottom out your car no matter what. You might not know you're bottoming out the car, but you will always bottom out the car. Even if you are at maximum range and super stiff suspension, you're going to bottom out your car. It's going to happen, you just may not know. So, using that bottoming out, using that weight transference to your benefit is a big one. So, like I was saying, the range controls overall compression. Once you've found the compression that you like, you want to fine tune it by making it a little stiffer or softer. That's what the rate does. That said, if you never touch bump stop rate ever in your life, because you just don't understand it, you can't tell the difference, you'll be fine. Bump stop range is the important. Rate, you're getting real nitpicky. But these two go hand in hand. I had to talk about questions.
Now for setup, like a front engine car, what's a good starting point for this bump stop range? Like 15 or
I honestly, whatever setup you're using a paid setup, I would start with whatever it's at. There's no real, because the bump stop range really, again, depends on a lot of other things in the car. If your ride height's a little higher, if you have more wing, if wheel rates are different, it will affect how much you want your bump stop range. So I'll just start with whatever setup you're using and tweak it from there. But like I said, if you're getting to bump stop rate and range, you are very close to like your perfect setup. This is not something you do right away.
Okay.
Now we're going in order of things that are like most effective and noticeable to least. These make a big difference. But if you're changing this before you fix your aero, or if you're changing this before you fix your tires, it's not going to last because you're going to change something that's not going. It's going to kind of go out the window. So I would, but again, usually, and again, it's track and car dependent, but usually front engine cars have lower bump stop range because there's already a ton of weight up there. In the front, I should say, the back is a totally different story. Because again, now we're talking about range transfer to the rear. Most mid-engine and rear-engine cars, they got a ton of weight back there, so this does not need to be that much because there's already a bunch of weight back there. So this will usually be pretty low. For a front-engine car, it'll be a little bit higher, so you weight on the back.
Yeah, I got mine at 5 for the Porsche.
Yeah, so usually it's all dependent on where do you want the weight to go on acceleration and braking. Turning, a little bit, but mostly acceleration and braking. So if you have a bunch of weight already over what you're trying to, the axle you're trying to get grip on, pretty low. If you're trying to get more on an axle that doesn't have weight, it's going to be a little higher.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Any other questions with bump stop rate?
It's could this affect about the top speed the car or not?
Nope, none of this affects the top speed of the car.
Okay.
Yeah, this will not affect any aspect of the car until you are actually resting on the bump stops. So if you do like light braking mid corner, you will not hit the bump stop and it won't affect your car. This is really only for like hard braking into corners and hard acceleration out of corners when this is really going to show.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't affect the speed of the car, doesn't affect most of the other dynamics of the car. It's just those two places. Any other questions? Good question, by the way. Any other questions? Cool. I want you guys to go bump stop 0, front and back, just to see what it's like to bounce off of the frame of your car. Because not many people are used to that. Go bump stop 0.
Range, right?
Range. Bump stop range 0. Again, I won't be joining on track today. Bump stop range 0, all 4 corners, and Godspeed.
I've not tried this on a Porsche. Huh? It'll be interesting.
It should be fine on acceleration, but going into corners, you'll get you'll get some understeer probably, if anything. You're just not letting any weight to the front. Simon and
Yeah.
Ziad, you're not in here. If you want, you can jump into. We have a setup server. If you want to get into a car and test these things out and see what does what, feel free. If you just want to watch, by all means, just watch. But we do have a workshop server that you can actually jump in and test all these things out without a bunch of people.
Oh, nice. I just come back to the house, so I need to open everything. So
Okay.
maybe I just watch it.
Yeah, no, totally fine. Like I said, this is all recorded, so if you want to watch this again and test it all out later, feel free.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Yod's just lurking, not saying a word, not in the server.
Just joined.
I'm
What are
here.
we
I'm
just?
here.
Oh, Shogun's here. What's up?
What
Actually,
are we
pretty
adjusting
nice.
exactly?
I'm sorry.
What are we adjusting exactly? I just joined.
Ah, yes. Oops.
Jeez.
Yeah, Devin, don't die. So now we just talked about Bumpstop Range and Bumpstop Rate. I want you to take your Bumpstop Range and put them to 0
Okay.
on all 4 corners. Lead to a very, very stiff car. Not recommend hitting fat curves. Or try it to see what the difference is. World 0 was 0.
I tried it on a curve, and the car will just take off like a rocket up
Yep.
in the air.
Yes, it will. There's not
Oh,
your.
I have one question. What about the old cars? I mean, like Ritter?
The rider, yeah.
Yeah, it's broken car, yeah?
More or less, yeah.
Uh,
They have not
I wouldn't
updated it in a
recommend.
it's
while.
everything what you say, it's working on the Ritter or not?
All these things should be applicable to every car in the game. How much they do is going to be a little different, but they all work the same on every car.
Because I was some days on the last year, I think, on the championship with everybody drive the Ritter, and we drive Spa, so La Rouge was not drivable.
Yeah.
The Zolder, the chicane was awful.
Yeah.
Every time when I have big curves or the fast corners, it was shit. Sorry, really shit.
No, yeah. So you could try to fix that with bump stop range, or you could lift up the car a little bit to make it a bit taller. So, because
Yeah, but my top speed was worse than
if you
when I yeah.
lift the ride height front and back, it shouldn't affect your top speed more than a kilometer or 2 at maximum speed. If you just lift up the back, yes, it will slow you down. Or if you have a high rear wing, that will slow you down. But if you lift up the whole car, it should not affect your top speed that much.
Oh, so it was skill issue.
Yeah, I mean, hey, they do not walk you through how to do any of this stuff, and Rider's not good, just in general. But the rear wing is going to be the biggest thing that slows you down. You can have a high rear wing and it's real grippy, which is great. But like Spa, you're going to want a really low rear wing, and then you fix the setup around to make it so it doesn't.
Yeah, and I got problem with the La Rouge and the last fast corner. I forgot how it's called.
I don't remember
The
what it's
green
called
to the
either.
left.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, you kind of have to figure out. All right. Well, how much wing can I get rid of without losing so much grip that I can't turn, kind of thing.
Oh. Thanks.
Yeah.
Alright, I think I'm gonna go lower when I reset this. I'm not gonna go to 0. The front.
Oh yeah.
It makes the Porsche feel nice, really.
The lower,
Front
Yeah.
range.
but like I said, the Porsche, it likes to have the back end swing around. So you
Right.
don't actually want that much front grip. You want stability. So a bump stop range, if you bottom out, not as much weight can shift, and you'll have a more stable car into the corner. Whereas the McLaren, it hates rotating. So you got to let that weight shift forward.
Mm. I mean, I did have it at 12 before I tried this, which isn't bad.
Not too high, yeah. I very rarely do I see bump stop ranges in excess of 20, even on cars that need it.
Right.
So But how's your car?
Whippy, but I'm not having the issues with it bouncing like Brown was talking.
You into the BMW?
I am.
Might be the rest of your setup, but it also could be your line. Maybe you're less on curbs.
If you try to take a curve, like I do, the car just bounces up in the air.
Yeah, so Sean, that curve you just hit, your back end came out, and that was because it bottomed out.
Yeah, but it's
So-
not going up in the air like Brown was talking. So
Oh, it was the front on that last chicane coming to the straight. You hit that big curve.
Oh, on the inside?
Yes.
Yeah, I would recommend just never hitting that in general, but yes, it will. You will go flying if you hit that. But yeah, overall, the car right now, whatever you're driving, should feel slightly more stable, being a little understeery, and bouncy if you usually go over curbs. If you're not one that goes over curbs a lot, you shouldn't feel much of a difference other than the stability increase, bit less grip.
Should I be concerned that mine's super twitchy then?
What are you driving?
NSX.
Oh, but I don't even know. I don't even know what to do with the NSX.
Probably maybe try like the Porsche.
Let me see. Let me see what. Let me watch your lap. See what it's doing.
All right.
But again, we're basically riding on the frame. So you're bouncing
Yeah.
and you're trying to turn, and so it's gonna throw your car off if you end up bouncing on your actual frame a bunch. Like I said, each car's suspension is a little different. Maybe NSX just has less, and the understeer, that seems about right. Maybe it just has less compression anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, just any kind of momentary jerking movement, like a quick increase of turn in or a quick lift off of the gas or onto the brakes. There's no dampers in your suspension, so it's just gonna bounce, and that will lead to twitchiness. We'll do 1 or 2 more laps here, guys. We'll bring it in. We'll do the opposite, and we'll see how the car is. Kevin, I'm sorry in advance, and Shogun, same thing.
I can see the BMW's front end of the car just bouncing, just
Yeah?
on the tarmac.
Same with the Ferrari.
I'm a little. Maybe I'm a little desensitized to it
I
from
was
the
gonna
Ferrari.
say the Ferrari does a lot. Yeah, pretty much seems like everyone's understeering with this, which makes perfect sense. You're not letting much of the car's weight shift to the front, so it's just gonna understeer. Yeah, that checks. Everybody's understeering. Hey, at least it seems like I know what I'm talking about. That's great.
All but the Porsche.
I don't know. I feel like every corner's trying to kill me now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the car wants you dead at this point because all that fancy suspension and all that work that Honda put into the suspension, you just turned it off.
Yeah, you turned it off.
You just turn your suspension off when you have the bump stop range at the lowest. So,
Alright, I'm going out with the max.
yeah, guys, and if you've already got a feel and you're just like, this sucks, just head to the pits, go to maximum bump stop range, and hop that check. See what the difference is. Who did we get here? Tim! Good to see you, man.
Driving a marshmallow around the track.
And
So
another-
doing what you had us do in the BMW, put my red line under my yellow line.
Yeah, that's another thing. Never do that. Yeah, that means you are riding on the bump stops. There is no suspension travel.
Yeah.
Yep.
So don't do that. That's a good point. I was gonna talk about that in a little bit. And that's a great point. You ever see, doing this for the sake of the video here, you ever see this red line go underneath yellow, that means you have negative suspension travel and you are just riding the bump stops 24/7. So you will have no suspension. Horrible. I can't get this car to do it, but some cars will. And you never want to do that. Red should always be a little above yellow. Jimmy!
I am just. No, I'm taking brake parts back for the wife's car, so I'm just lurking.
Oh, nice. Talking about Bumpstop Range and Bumpstop Rate.
I feel like
Is
I'm
any
floating.
difference
BMW
between front and rear suspension?
In
I
what
mean,
way?
you should on the front use the more soft, on the back more stiffness. I don't know.
Yes. Depends on what car you're using, but yes, it does. Usually, like I was saying, mid-engine or rear-engine cars, usually you want a higher bump stop range so that you can get more weight on the front because there's no engine up there and there's
Okay.
not as much weight on the front tires. So you want to let the weight shift forward to get more grip so you can turn a little better. And the same thing for a mid-engine car, the engine's in the back, so you don't need a lot of weight transfer to the rear of the car, like accelerating out of a corner, right? So usually your bump stop range is going to be a little lower because you don't want as much grip back there. You want more stability. You want it to bottom out and not let the nose come up too much. So it kind of balances out the car. But yeah, the front and rear are usually going to be different in terms of bump stop ranges and all that stuff.
Okay.
What do we get? Oh. No,
It's the one
the
and all.
tire shredder. Talking about bump stop ranges.
Tristan. Did
Do
you
I have
guys
to
have
do?
the triple stint tires yesterday?
No, we never did. No.
Yeah. We were taking care of those tires later in the race.
Yeah, after you already nuked them, then you're like, we should be easy on them. Alrighty,
So I'll leave you guys to it.
how's car feeling now that we're soft, guys?
I can't steer if I'm touching gas.
Yeah, that
I can
sounds
take-
exactly right.
Mine actually feels more stable.
I would imagine, yeah. Yeah, because your car was really unstable riding the bump stops. But I bet you now that you
Yeah.
can let the weight move around a bit, it's going to be a lot better. Use it and actually have the suspension moving.
Yeah, definitely.
Mr. Brown, can you eat curbs now?
Yes,
I love it when
certainly can.
I love it when the things I say are actually real. Half the time I'm just like, I don't know if this is a thing. I don't know if it's working for the Honda or the whatever, the Ryder. I don't even know people still drove that car. Yeah, so, and again, like Simon was saying, bump stop range is dependent on the car and the axle. It should not, will almost never be the same front and back. Or if they are, you're just try not to hit the bump stops at all, which, as I said before, completely impossible. We'll always hit the bump stops no matter what. Whether it's going over a curb or a sausage or whatever, you're going to hit the bump stop eventually. So you want to know what your car is going to do when you hit. Is anybody's car understeering out of corners?
I don't sense it.
No? Is anybody's car oversteering out of corners?
Every corner.
Every corner. Yeah. So you're letting all that weight shift to the back, and what it's doing is it's shifting backwards and outside. So again, that lack of stability, you're letting the back end move a ton. Usually, if it's not understeering a bunch, but if the whole car is soft, the back end's going to have a lot of wiggle to go outside and then shift to the outside tire, which is going to put a ton of stress on that tire, which will likely lead to it spinning and you oversteering.
Also leading to very high tire pressures there.
Yep. Yeah, because you're stressing out. The more weight you put on a tire, the more stressful it's going to be on that tire. The hotter that tire is going to get, especially if it's spinning. So, like I said, it's a happy medium for every car and every axle. Figure out what that is. Seems like for the NSX, it's a little bit softer all around, and for the Porsche, it looks like it's might be a bit stiffer in the front, maybe not so much in the back. Figure out what works. You guys want to do another couple laps, bring it back in? We'll talk about the last two things of the learning section of the workshop. I'm going to start quizzing you guys next time.
The car's drivable, but you got to drive it wildly different.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how the Porsche felt too.
Bumpstop Range, while very much a nitpicky type thing, does have a pretty drastic effect over the car. It just goes to show that you hit your bump stops a lot, and so picking when it hits it and how it hits it, very important in the overall setup of the car.
I like the fact that on the right-handers, I can ride the curve where it's not bouncing, and it helps rotate the car really well.
Yep. So find out where that benefit ends with lowering the range, because generally you want it fairly low, because you don't want to wishy-wash the car. But go as low as you can and still have that benefit. Maybe could you do me a favor and mute, boss?
Nope.
There we go.
Game.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so back to me. The game crashing? Nope. All right, we're good. All right. So, as Sean is finishing up his lap, any questions on range or rate? I know I didn't have you guys change your rates. Like I said, that's not a huge difference. Figuring out how much range you need is way more important. So,
Okay.
questions with it?
No.
Cool. Well, the last couple things I'll talk about. Let's just get it over with. We're going into dampers. I am not going to go in depth with dampers. This is a very high level aspect of the car, and there is and will always be, since I'm not updating this thing, there is and will always be a meta setup for this. And while it is pretty good, it is not the best, but it will serve for 95% of all of the tracks you're going to race, all the cars you're going to drive this game. For as long as this game is still alive, this setup will be fun. And I'll talk about what these all do in a second, but default starting should look like that. Bump and fast bump at 0, rebound and fast rebound at whatever their highest number is, 40 and 39 for every car. Like I said,
No.
Mine only goes to 16.
Mine
I
was
have
a
40
17 and 12.
whatever the
Yeah,
highest
mine's
number is.
40, 49.
Whatever the highest number is, just get it to the highest number. I don't know what it is on all the cars. For me, it's 40 and 39. For you, who knows what it is. But 0, 0, max, max. I hate this. I hate everything about this. This is the most
But it works.
thoughtless, brain dead way to do dampers, but it works and it makes me mad. So
You just have to play LMU.
So, with this, again, if you never want to go into bumpers, and I'm not going to go into them very much, but if you ever want to dive into what dampers do, here's a brief explanation. Bump, rebound, and fast rebound. They're two different sections of the same damper, basically. Bump and rebound are what's considered the slow damping effect of dampers. So, going into braking, going into acceleration, turning from left to right, anything like that, where you're just more or less normal driving, that is affected by bump and rebound. What bump does is bump controls, because we have a spring, and all it does is basically hold up the weight of the car. What bump does is it controls how fast or slow your suspension can compress. So we just worked on what controls how much it can compress. This controls how fast it can compress. So a soft bump setting in the dampers will let the compression happen very quickly. So it can absorb a lot of use, more or less, considered soft. Like driving in a normal Bentley. Everything is super soft. That's what soft low bump setting does. It lets the suspension compress very rapidly, leading to a softer ride. Rebound is the exact opposite. It controls how quickly the suspension can expand or uncompress. Soft setting would let that move really, really fast. A stiff setting on the rebound means it moves a lot slower, a lot more controlled as it's expanding. So basically, in this current setup, the suspension will absorb shock really, really fast, and it will dissipate that shock very slowly. So it's a very rapid compression, which leads to more stability, more or less. And then the rebound happens much slower. By slower, I mean from 1/100th of a second to 1.5 hundredths of a second. This is not slow by any means, but in the world of dampers, it is. This allows the car to recover from an impact a lot smoother. Leads to again, more stable driving experience. Questions on bump and rebound? I'm not going to get too far into them or how they work or what they do. That is what they do. All right, and then
Now, does this, besides the meta, does this other stuff actually work? It seems
it
like all
does.
the setups I have is the first two are always 0,
Yep.
and the rebound, fast rebound might be a higher or lower number.
Huh?
Okay.
Yeah, no, they do work.
Uh,
They do
I
work.
know some cars in the esport setups don't have 0 but 1 or 5, something like this, because it's a little broken
Yep. Yeah,
with
like I
different
said,
cars.
whatever the lowest is and the highest will work
Yep.
for most part. But they do
But
they absolutely
90% is 0.
yeah, they absolutely work, and you can test it and see for yourself. You bump is think of bump the I'm not making it anyway. Don't worry about it. Just do this,
Okay.
and if you want to try out what the other ones do, just know that this is a stiffer compression. This is a softer compression. This is a
Okay.
and when I say stiff and soft, I mean fast and slow. Soft is a fast compression and your suspension can move quickly. Stiff means it moves slowly. Very similar to bump stops, except this is for the entire travel of the suspension, not just when it hits the bottom.
Okay.
Okay, so the next thing is fast bump and fast rebound. This is rumble strips, curbs, sausages, anything where it is a rapid movement or a rapid impact on your car. Fast bump and fast rebound affect this. It's like a different section of the damper. It's a different type of fluid. Fluid moves differently. It's a weird thing, but they are two separate things and they do work. Again, fast bump. This means that when you hit those curbs, it will be a very, very soft impact. It'll let the suspension compress, but that also means it might hit your bump stops quicker. That might not be a good thing. So after you've made this change to your car, which it should just look like this, once you've made this change to your car, you may have to go back and change your bump stops and change some other things too, because now your suspension moves at different rates, different speed. But the fast bump is how quickly it will absorb the rapid impacts, so things like hitting sausages, the fast vibrations bouncing off of the rumble strips on the sides. That is fast bump and fast rebound. Again, this allows for a rapid compression and a smooth extension, leading to overall more stable car. You can mess with it if you want. I'm not going to get into it. But it does work, and if you've gotten to a point where you understand the rest of the setup, I'm talking every single aspect of the setup, and you know exactly what it does, and you have a good feeling for how it works, then you can get into dampers, but not before, because if this is so much more convoluted than the rest of the setup. It's not worth touching until you are really comfortable with the rest. Comments, concerns? Cool. All right. So with that, and I know a couple of us are not here for the whole thing, but like I said, it's all recorded and I'm trying to get it uploaded. I'm not dealing with me. We've covered every aspect that is important. Every aspect of this car, from tires, tow camber, caster, all the electronics, fuel. We haven't talked about pit strategy or anything. That's more of an endurance stuff. It has nothing to do with the actual setup. Brakes, mechanical grip, everything in the mechanical grip. Dampers, we touched, and aero. A lot of stuff. Most of it is not very intuitive. The next couple lessons or setups, whatever you want to call it, the workshops, are going to be me breaking your car and you having to fix it with other parts of the setup. Never going to give you something you can't fix with other parts of the setup. You can always fix it with other parts of the setup. That's what I'm going to have you guys do. With that said, it'll be a great time for questions and all that stuff because we'll be talking about every aspect of the car, not just one at a time. But we've got, I don't know, usually I do these things for about an hour and a half. So we've got another half an hour. Ask away. What do you got?
Wheel rate again? The higher the number,
The
the stiffer
stiffer
the
the
spring.
spring. Yep.
Okay. And the stiffer spring will give you what, more traction, or I can't
It's
think of the
more
term.
stability, usually a little less grip. And
Okay.
again, it does have to do, it's both ends. So if you have a soft front, that will lead to more grip in the front. If you have soft everywhere, then the car is just squishy. So
Okay.
you can adjust one or the other. Usually, if you want a little bit more front grip, some people will mess with wheel rates. I would recommend just lifting the ride height.
Okay.
Good question. What else?
Where are the workshops usually uploaded?
I'm gonna put them on YouTube, and I'll have links and stuff. Like I said, I'm no good with the media side of things. So once they are up, and I'm gonna try to have them up in the next week. Once they are up, I'll link them and I'll put them in the announcements and all that stuff. Resources, I don't know. There's a bunch of places they could go, but I'll tag you guys, let you know where they are. Anything else?
Andrew, I had a question.
Yep.
Sorry for the Taco Bell ambiance earlier.
You're good.
How do I know, like, the thing I struggle with the most is how do I know if it's the setup or if it's me?
The easiest answer is it's always both. The easiest solution is you get to decide. Are you going to fix your driving or change your driving to better fit the setup? Or are you comfortable with how you drive and do you want to fix the setup to better match your driving? It's entirely up to you. I know that there's a lot of paid setups where objectively they are best. And if you want to adjust your driving to fix that setup, by all means, go ahead. I'm not good enough to do that. I need a car that works with me. I usually cannot work with a car that's more advanced than I am. So if you're finding that you're struggling with a certain section, but you see somebody else like on a hot lap and they're running the exact same setup, it's going to be both. They might be a little bit better with that setup, but you can then make your setup such that you're very close or the same speed. It really is up to you. Do you want to drive to the setup or do you want to adjust the setup to your driving? You can always fix things with your setup. Changing your driving style is a lot more difficult. I'd recommend adjusting this.
Yeah, most of the time you're just gonna change something.
For someone who's new like myself, I still don't know what my driving style is on that perspective. When you say driving style, like you, what did you discover that is your driving style? Is it what you like to do? Or like someone like me, I like to run the curves. Is that a driving style to get the car to rotate more?
The best answer I can give for figuring out what your driving style is to watch somebody else do the same track in the same car. That doesn't have to be the same.
Okay.
But if you watch somebody else drive the same track and they don't touch a single curve, they're faster than you for some reason, and your driving style is different than theirs. Chances are the setup is as well. But your driving style, you may not know what it is, but you have one.
Okay.
It could change and it will develop over time. But your driving style is just how you drive. It's nothing fancy. It's nothing crazy. And your driving style is how you drive without thinking about it. If you're
Okay.
just doing laps, you're 40 minutes into practice and you're in a groove, that's your driving style. The setup fit that.
Okay.
Now, granted, if you are doing things like, not trail braking or flooring it out of sharp hairpins or something, like, yeah, don't do that. But if you're not doing things like that, like really basic driving things, then the rest is just your driving style.
Okay.
And as you get faster, as you realize what these setups are doing, your driving style is going to change because you're going to realize, oh, I can't fix this with the car. I need to do this with my left foot, or I need to fix this with braking, or I need to fix this with gas. Because you're going to be making your setups more and more and more aggressive as you get faster, and your driving style is going to have to keep up. It's the natural, it's just how it goes. And you don't have to force it, it just happens. You're going to notice it as time goes on. You're going to be like, I need to be better at feathering the throttle out of the because I want to make my setup more aggressive, but I can't because I'm not good at getting on the throttle smoothly. It'll happen naturally.
Okay. Thank you.
These are great questions. Anything else? I hope these answers are.
I have seen some argument on this, so I'm going to ask your opinion. This is not necessarily a right answer or wrong answer.
Okay.
Steer ratio. Do you feel it changes how far the car turns, or just how far you turn the steering wheel to get the car to turn X?
The technical answer, just objectively, is all the steering ratio does is it increases. So I guess relatively. So the lower the steer ratio is, the less input you need to put into your steering wheel to affect your driving wheel. That is what it does. So it might feel like. Go ahead, Devin. Do you keep it low?
I always put it all the way down. Yeah.
So it might feel like the car is turning more, and technically, it is. But if you were to actually look at the deflection of the driving wheels on the ground, driving wheel angles do not change. All that change because you have to turn the wheel. The wheels have to move a certain amount to get around every corner. That will never change. All that will change is how much input you need to put in to get the wheel to do that. So that is the technical answer. Technically, they're right.
For me, if I can say, if you are lazy with your hands with wheel, you should lower the value. If you are faster in steering, if you steer too much in the corner, you need to increase the value.
Yeah, the biggest.
For me, the sample.
Go ahead. So the biggest difference that steering ratios will make actually is not even in the corners. It's entry and exit, because your car is going to be way twitchier with a lower steering ratio. There's a reason that normal cars do not have steering ratios of 11. Everybody would die because it'd be so touchy on straights going into corners. Like once you're in a corner and you're established, it's fine. But if you're not used to a low steering ratio, don't go changing it now unless you hate turning or something and you just, or your hands or your seating position, your hand is like hitting your leg or something. I don't know. But I don't know. I leave the steering ratio at whatever it happens to be. Sometimes I drop it down to 1. I don't know. It's personal preference, and it doesn't actually. If anyone says it actually affects the car, I will disagree with them, because it doesn't.
My experience is the only thing it affects is perceived stabilities and straightaways, because small movements won't make it twitch to the side as much.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it'll be twitchier the lower it is. In corners, mid corner, coming out of corners, straights. Like I said, the middle of the corner is likely where you're going to feel it the least, honestly. Because you're going to have to keep it straight. Like Spa, low steering ratio. Monza, that's a scary thing, man, because you got any tiny little input and you are turning. I don't feel like it, but you. Good question. What else we got? 20 minutes or so? Any aspect of the setup?
On the springs, I understand the red and yellow. What's the green? Did you cover what the green does?
Yeah, so the green doesn't move. The green is, so it is very much just a representation of the bottom of your suspension.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. It will never move. It'll never change. It just stays there. That is the absolute bottom of your. Don't worry about green. It's relevant. Else.
Can we go to the aero?
Yes, of course.
When you have rear, the ride height, when you increase the value and lower the value, the car is have more grip, more speed. I don't know because I was late.
Yes. So the ride height, the ride height will not affect speed much. A little bit, but like I said, I'm talking a kilometer an hour or two at maximum speed with ride height change. It's very, very minimal. So the front ride height and the rear ride height both control grip for that axle and the opposite. So if we increase the ride height of the rear, basically what that does is that pushes the grip, overall grip levels and the weight of the car forward. So the higher the ride height in the rear, the more grip you're going to have on the front tires. The lower the ride
Okay.
height in the rear, the more grip you're going to have on the back tire. So basically move this bar the direction you want the grip to go. Now, in
And
terms of
most of the
So,
time I'm fine.
example, if we have the spa, the corner, what I say earlier, the green to the left on the end. So if my back is sliding, so is trying be faster than my car. Sorry for my English is bad.
yeah, no, it's fine.
I lose my back when I try full throttle. Example in Honda. So I need more grip on the back or less? More,
You
yeah,
need
because it's
more on the
sliding.
back. Yep. So there's
So I need lower value then?
yes.
Okay.
So you can lower the rear ride height, and this is another thing I want to bring up because it's really important. Now this is only GT3s, and I don't know if the rider has this, but you see this number down here, this front arrow variation. This number
Yeah.
is the overall dynamic feeling of your car. The higher the number is, the more front grip you have. The lower the number is, the less front grip you have. Balance the car is. So, like right now, let's say my car as it stands is I can't make that turn going into the bus stop before the chicane and spa. I can't make that turn because I'm oversteering, like you said. I need more grip on the back of the car. There's two ways I can fix it. I can lower the ride height, and you see my percentage goes down, so now I have less grip on the front, more balance now. Or I could increase the wing. You see that number still goes down, but it went down a lot more. So now I have either way, you can lower the grip on the front of the car, lowering ride height or increasing rear wing. Unless you're max, then nothing you can do. But this percentage is what you want to look at once you're done making those changes, because you always want to reference it. Like, right, I know that a McLaren likes to be around 10.3%. I don't know what your car likes or what that number is. But this number will always determine the feeling of the car, whether it's oversteering or understeering. So if you're losing the back end a lot, I would lower this, especially at spa, since you don't want more rear wing, because this will slow you down, like quite a bit. I would lower the rear ride height 2 clicks, 1 or 2 clicks at a time until you can make that corner.
Okay. So I
you've
can
moved
still
it
be
more than-
competitive on the straight and have grip on the car. Nice.
Yep.
If you have to move it more than 6 clicks, it's a acrylic.
I'd be, yeah.
So if you say in McLaren the gold points is 10.3, yeah?
In the McLaren,
If
yeah.
it's be lower, close the zero, is be worse or?
So the closer it is to 0, the less front grip you will have.
Okay.
Yeah, so the lower it is, the more rear grip. The higher it is, the more front grip. And every car has a different number. I know the Ferraris is like 2. I think the Mercedes is negative, actually. So, but the higher the number, the more front grip. Lower the number, more rear grip. Always and forever, no matter what. If you want to make a change to a car, I recommend starting here. Start with your ride heights. Easiest way to fix something.
The brake ducts has any impact to the top speed?
They do not.
Nope.
They will affect your tire temperature and pressure. They will not affect
Okay.
top speed. The only thing that
For
really
the grip?
affects top speed is the rear wing. Nothing else really will slow you down.
Okay.
Oh, and
Yeah, if you
the
want more
front splitter.
speed, yeah.
Front splitter too. Because that's actually
yeah, you can
changing
have it.
arrow. But I would not use
One more question about the same corner. In the mechanical grip, you have on the rear the anti-roll bar
Yes.
and preload differential. You can use these settings to stable the car in this corner or not? Or
Yes,
it's more the anti-roll bar on the front?
Which end of the car is unstable? Front back.
The back.
So you could lower the anti-roll bar in the back. That would add grip in the rear, as well as make it potentially more stable. Preload differential on that particular corner probably won't help. Since you're supposed to be flat out, really, if anything, you want this a little higher, but I wouldn't touch this. I would adjust the anti-roll bar first.
So everywhere when I have throttle, it's anti-roll bar. When I don't use the throttle, it's preload differential, yes?
Not quite. So that corner, it's a very high speed, full throttle
Yes.
corner. If you are a low speed corner, like the what's the first chicane after Eau Rouge? What's that called?
I don't remember. I know what you mean.
You know what I mean, though. So
Yes.
if you are slow and you come out of a corner and the back end is loose, you oversteer out of a corner coming from slow, that is preload differential. It's a little bit of both, but that's when preload differential will be more helpful. Basically, the lower you're doing that, you want to lower the preload differential. What that does is it lets more power go to the outside wheel, and it stabilizes the car.
Oh, okay.
So anti-roll bar helps all the time, mostly low speed. So that high speed corner, it will help, but it's mostly aero at that point. Low speed corners where it is mostly mechanical grip at work, anti-roll bar can help, and the preload differential could help. But high speed preload differential won't do much.
Oh, okay. Nice.
I would start with anti-roll bar. If that doesn't fix it, then I would do preload differential.
I try remember. Slow corners. Anti-roll bar. Okay.
So slow corners in general, this is where you want to make the changes in mechanical grip. Because your arrow is not doing much going slow. So, like the high speed corner you're talking about in the bus stop, that's an arrow thing. Maybe you probably want a little less front end grip. And then for the slow corners, if you're struggling with them, you can still use this, but also use mechanical. Because the less air that's going over the car, the more important mechanical grip. Great questions.
Nice.
And I'm pretty sure for the differential, I can't remember, but I might be right. And when you go up on it, it helps with tire spin. Or is it down?
It's down.
Okay, yeah.
The higher this number is, the more locked together the tires are. So, and which is bad. Great for speed, bad for stability because the inside wheel is already kind of spinning. So if it's locked to the inside, then the outside is just going to be spinning right away. So if you can get the outside wheel doing most of the work and pushing you, then that's better to have that than it is to have both back tires spinning. Any other questions? Questions, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, how the hell do you drive this track?
White.
Right foot fast, left foot slow. I think it turns right at some point. That's all I got.
I know you need to use the alt track, the white.
Slow in, fast out. That's especially sector 3. Sector 3, if you go fast into a corner, you will fail every single time.
Yep. Slow is smooth.
Final
Smooth
chicane's
is fast.
bullshit.
Hey now, that's like the best part of the track. It just sucks when you screw it up.
Andrew, you're weird.
Shut up!
I can't wait till it comes to Le Mans Ultimate and there's no final chicane. It's just the proper good layout.
No, you're wrong. You're just wrong.
As the designers intended.
No, the designers were dumb. The designers of Paul Ricard have like 3 corners. They're like, we should add more, and that was the right move. Le Mans
Yeah, but at
was
least the
like,
chicane. At least the chicane in Paul Ricard is actually good. This chicane is not good.
it is good. It's great. It's so technical. Can't just fly through it. Listen, if you had it your way, those inside sausages would be gone, and you would just cut the track the whole time. Which is exactly what Paul Ricard did. I know that's why you like it. You can just cut those curves.
Oh, I was basically going
Chase-
off track during the race yesterday. I'm not getting anything.
Chase doesn't
funny.
want to drive cars. He wants to pilot rockets.
Anyways, back on topic. Any other questions with setups? Like I said, I'm going to be asking you guys to do things next time we get together. So, of course, there'll be review and. But if there's nothing else, I will leave you guys to it. Thank you for joining me on this journey of betterment and whatever else you want to call it. Like I said, I'm going to try to get these uploaded this week. I'll have them posted so you guys can watch. Don't know how much editing is going to go into them because there is good stuff that goes in between, like actual setup stuff. A lot of questions that are answered in. So we'll see. It might just be 2 hours of me yapping. But I'll try to have whatever they call it in YouTube, where it's like the different markers for talking about certain things. But I'll probably leave it largely unedited other than that. But
Stop talking then.
no, I refuse. I'm here to talk. That's my whole job. Right. Stop this. Thank you again. And